All right, good morning, everybody. All right, a lot of energy in the room. Good morning, everybody. Hope you all had a good time last night. Thanks for coming today. Really excited to have the opportunity to talk to you a little bit about Facebook and what we're doing with sports in particular. My name is Dan Reed. I lead global sports partnerships at Facebook. I've been here at Facebook for almost 2 years. Previous to being at Facebook, I was at the NBA for 10 years. So I've been in a number of different seats, I think, of the people that are sitting in this room. The best way to give you an overview is to show you how people are using the platform. So we'll start by running a brief video, then I'll give you a brief overview of what we're doing in this space.
What's up, guys?
What's up, man?
Let's do this.
Oh, hey, guys!
Okay, we're live. All-Star Game 2016. Live on Facebook.
Copa America Centenario rolls on. So now we got some people showing up.
And yes, there he is.
Yes, we did it.
Awesome.
Kevin Durant deciding to leave for the Golden State Warriors is the weakest move that I've ever seen.
Bleacher Report on Instagram, posting the funniest and coolest sports content.
Todd Gurley here. Football's back in Los Angeles. Yummy in my tummy.
They took a group photo. They've probably all put it on Instagram already.
Until we feel right. Instagram, baby.
Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe on Facebook on First Post.
We are being simulcast on Facebook on our NBA TV page.
DeRozan mishandled, got it.
Rooney, Ibrahimovic.
Hi, everybody. Ryan Seacrest here live at our late night studios. Join me on Facebook Live before the show.
What's going on Facebook Live, Copacabana Beach.
Visit CBS Sports on Facebook to view the flight from every angle. You can get 360-degree view now at facebook.com.
This week, we lost an icon. In my book, he'll always be the greatest.
24 years in the sport, and we're finishing up tonight. It's wild to think about.
Rashad Dempsey, big save again. Irving back to James. The star of the show does it again. Usain says goodbye to the Olympic Games. And the Pittsburgh Penguins have won the Stanley Cup.
Leicester are champion.
If you a champion, show me you a champion. If you a champion, show me you a champion. Cause real champions move like champions. And real champions prove that they're champions. If you a champion, show me you a champion. If you a champion, show me you a champion. Cause real
I want to thank you. Thank you so much for all the love and support.
Thank you very much.
Come on.
All right, so useful to ground the discussion first in Facebook's overall mission, which is to give people the power to share and make the world more open and connected. And we do that not just through the Facebook Blue app, but really our whole family of apps, including Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, Oculus, and many more. And I think most important for this audience is you think about how does this mission translate to the sports world and how we can best support the sports industry and the sports fan. Really it comes down to this, which is, our mission ultimately is twofold with the sports team. One is we want to inform and entertain and engage the world's largest stadium. And Facebook with 650 million people that are connected to a sports page, that's a league, team, athlete, or sports media page. And on Instagram, where 165 million people are following a sports account, similar league, team, media, and athlete. But we know the way that we need to do that, and what I want to spend most of the time on today is working with the entire sports industry. So again, leagues, teams, media, and athletes to help the sports industry understand how can you use Facebook to achieve your own business objectives, and how can you work with us to adapt to the changing media landscape, which we know we're all facing right now. So that's what I really want to spend most of the time today talking about, some best practices and hopefully some insights that will be useful to you as you go back and you plan your own strategy in working with us and your broader media business. And basically what my team does are, we do three things. One, essentially we're free consultants. We're here to help and support content partners across the sports industry to help them understand how to achieve their objectives. We also enter into strategic partnerships and relationships around major tentpole events or strategic opportunities. And we work closely with our product team and our engineering team to continue to build great experiences for sports fans on Facebook that also support the goals of the sports industry. And so I want to drill down in some of those areas that we've been working with our partners on. And I'll touch on 3 major areas today. One is I'll talk about how Facebook has emerged as primarily a video platform and talk a little bit about how that's evolved and what it means for you and your business. Secondly, I'll talk about, I know my audience, I know you want to talk about monetization, so we'll definitely spend some time talking about monetization and how you can utilize Facebook and our platforms to drive incremental revenue both off Facebook, so with your own assets, as well as emerging models that are happening on our platforms. And last but not least, we'll talk about how you grow your own distribution on this platform to reach more of that 650 million sports fan base that exists in our platform every month. Sound good? All right, so let's dive in. Let's start talking about video. And again, I think the headline here, and this has happened relatively rapidly, that we have become, really in the last 2 years, a global mobile video distribution platform. And for those of you who don't spend a lot of time on Facebook, this is largely how it emerges. As you're scrolling through your news feed, you'll see video auto-playing, you'll see live video, you'll see video on demand, highlights, clips, a lot of really engaging video. And Mark Zuckerberg has gone on record saying most of Facebook will be video in the next few years, and we certainly see that emerging every single day. Just a few stats to give you some context. So we're doing 100 million hours of video viewed a day on Facebook, and that is growing dramatically, not just on Facebook, but on Instagram, where Instagram we've seen a 150% increase of watch time in just the last 6 months. It is a mobile platform. 75% of the video views on Facebook are mobile. And the power of Facebook is the power of the share. It is the social network. And so nearly half of the watch time on video actually comes from receiving a video from one of your friends on a sharing basis. So it's a really powerful viral distribution mechanism that allows you to really distribute well beyond the people that think they're connected to you or know they're interested in your content. People serendipitously discover content that they find interesting all the time through their friend networks and through our newsfeed algorithm. We've been working really hard on developing a wide variety of engaging video formats that work really well for this sort of environment, for this mobile and social environment. The big focus for us is live video. This launched in February, and initially it was actually designed for public figures to just go live from their phone and give the world a sneak peek into their lives. So here's a great example of Michael Phelps at the opening ceremonies in Rio, sort of giving you a feeling for what it's like on the bus ride in the way to the arena. Then we opened it up to everybody, so literally everybody, all 1.7 billion people on Facebook can go live now. And then in addition to that, we build an API that allows us to plug into a broadcast feed. So you can actually, anything that you can distribute through a television or any other video distribution platform, you can also seamlessly deliver through Facebook via an API. 360 video, you saw a little bit in the video earlier where you have the ability to pan around and get a sense for what's happening all around you in a video, like this video from the New England Patriots. And if you take your phone and snap it into a VR headset, it will turn into VR seamlessly. And obviously Oculus Rift is our platform. And the benefit of 360 is if you're investing in producing in VR content, this allows you to get the distribution power of Facebook, but it also gives you the ability to have the immersive VR experience, which as we know is growing and very high potential. And last but certainly not least, video on demand, which really accounts for the majority of consumption engagement on Facebook today. These are short clips that people are snacking on as they go through their newsfeed, highlights, features, you name it. This is the majority of video content on Facebook today, and still performs really well, and we certainly work with our partners on a strategy to help engage their fans using this kind of content. The same is true for Instagram, which historically people haven't thought of as a video platform. Video on demand performs really well on Instagram. As I mentioned, it's been growing dramatically over the last 6 months. So here's James Rodriguez in the locker room. Pretty impressive feat there. But these are the kinds of video moments that you see on Instagram, a little bit of a different feel, sort of that behind the scenes, that intimate access. And a lot of creative formats on Instagram, like Boomerang, which is a looping video, allows you to generate a lot of real creative effects. Hyperlapse, which is obvious what that is. And then Stories, which is our latest product within Instagram that allows people to sort of give that really intimate behind the scenes access into what's happening in their day. Here's Ronaldo. The important thing to understand is that this video capability and this distribution platform really supports today's existing broadcast business. So a couple stats I'll share with you to illustrate this, and then I'll walk you through an example. So Facebook is certainly the primary second screen for all live sports events. So for those of you that are rights holders, for those of you that are broadcasters, you're probably invested in making sure that people are engaging around the game themselves. And what this stat says is that of the people using social media during these live broadcasts, which is a lot of people, 85% of them say they're visiting Facebook during the game or during the live TV show. And as a result, we've seen a lot of evidence that real-time engagement on Facebook during the event actually supports tune into the broadcast. Here's an example where if you look at the dark blue line here, this is the Facebook chatter, again, during a minute-by-minute analysis of the broadcast. And as you can see, a key moment happens here in the game that incites conversation. And then several minutes after that spike in conversation, you see the broadcast rating rise. We can't yet prove that it's causal, but it's certainly correlated, and we believe that given the volume of activity happening in our platform, that this essentially acts as an alert to for a very wide swath of people on Facebook that the game is on and something just happened and you should tune in. And we see this over and over again. So I think the opportunity, if you're a broadcaster or if you're a rights holder, is how can you make that spike taller, that conversation spike on Facebook taller, which will create the network effect within Facebook to alert more people that the game is on and they should tune in. A great example of someone who's done this really effectively is Fox Sports in the United States. And this is just an example around Copa America Centenario this past summer, where they thought about programming Facebook as almost a parallel broadcast to their linear broadcasts on television and used it strategically to drive conversation and engagement to bring people into the main broadcast. So as an example, they went live pregame, which is just, and again, using their talent, analyzing the game, sort of, again, alerting people, hey, the game is on, right? Then once the game started, they were doing real-time in-game highlight clips, which drove tremendous amount of engagement, told people what was happening during the game, highlighting key moments, again, which all served to notify people, hey, the game is on, this is happening right now, you should tune in and watch. Also, sort of storytelling around what happened in the game, right? Different than your typical highlight clip. This mixed a clip with some analysis. Here's Messi's yellow card. Just great ways to get the conversation going and create that artificial spike. Then they went live at halftime with a parallel halftime broadcast. So they obviously went to halftime on the linear broadcast, but they had a different broadcaster for the people who were on their phones during halftime to stay engaged in the game, to have them share this content during the game with their friends, again, which alerts people that, hey, it's halftime now, but this is going on, this is on, you should tune in. And then actually they went live during the game. So when it went to penalty kicks, they actually went live and they talked about how they're freaking out and how intense the game has been. This is actually the most viewed live clip. This is the most viewed clip of everything that I described during the game because it was real, it was relevant, it was emotional, people were sharing it. And I don't think it's a coincidence that while they had a record 2.9 million viewers for this broadcast, that it peaked at 3.7 million viewers for the penalty kicks. So this is pretty typical, obviously, in broadcast, but the fact that over 650,000 people viewed this content throughout the broadcast served to essentially alert all these people that the game is on and allowed the broadcast rating to continue to rise throughout the broadcast. This is a great example, we think, of using Facebook as a platform to support the existing linear broadcast and bring more people into the broadcast by driving engagement and sharing in the social network to bring people into the broadcast. And this is not an isolated event. If you look at the volume of conversation on Facebook, pick any event in the world, and the conversation on Facebook is the largest real-time social media audience for any live event happening in the world. And this is true for the Super Bowl, where you see 60 million people, 200 million interactions just during the game window for the Super Bowl. The NBA Finals, the Euros, the Olympics. All of these events have really massive real-time conversationing happen on our platform, and it's a great opportunity to take advantage of that engagement to support your existing business objectives. But of course, we're in transition, right? Mobile video on its own is going to be essential to tomorrow's business model. And just some stats, 40% of millennial watch time is via mobile, according to ComScore. Billions of people are going to come online via mobile that aren't currently connected to the grid. and digital advertising is growing dramatically, as we all know. So in addition to using these platforms to support your existing business, we're starting to see partners really experiment with thinking about this as a new and incremental distribution platform that reaches a different audience with an entirely different strategy. And that's manifesting itself in a couple of different ways. So one is simulcasting, where we're starting to see broadcasters and rights holders use our platform to simulcast content that's on the linear network to reach new audiences, engage new audiences. So this is an example. We work with actually Wayne Rooney's foundation in Manchester United to simulcast this Manchester United-Everton exhibition game. It was not the most thrilling game. It was a 0-0 tie. It was an exhibition game. And we did no promotion of this game. No one comes to Facebook expecting to watch a Manchester United game. But we got 3.7 million unique viewers of this match over the course of 2 hours, and 71% of them were under the age of 35. So clearly, a lot of appetite and engagement around this sort of content, and clearly reaching that millennial audience who was really engaging in this content. We saw similar results with the USA men's and women's basketball exhibition games leading up to the Olympics. We streamed 9 games simulcast with NBA TV. Similar results, very large audiences, significant portion of the audience under the age of 35. But beyond just simulcasting, we're also starting to see partners really experiment with mobile-first and social-first content. And so here's an example of Fox Sports in the US who created an entirely new show just for Facebook. And you can see bigger graphics, tighter shots, renders better on mobile, interactivity built into the broadcast. They're literally taking questions from people live during the broadcast and answering them in real time. So these are entirely new elements of production that in a mobile and social world become really, really important. And so a lot of our partners are experimenting with completely different formats as ways to engage this audience in the place where they're spending their time. And then Bleacher Report in the US is experimenting with entirely different production techniques for live sports. They're using drones, they're using really tight shots. They're building interactivity actually into a live football game in this case. And again, big graphics and such. So we're just at the early stages of coming up with new formats for this kind of distribution platform. But it's really exciting days, and we're really eager to work with the entire industry to help develop these formats that are most engaging for folks. All right, so that's video. Now I want to talk about monetization and give you a sense for where we are in terms of helping to support your own business objectives. So, we think about this as a classic funnel. If there's, on Facebook, if there's 650 million sports fans at the top of this funnel, the question is, how do you engage them and move them down this funnel? So essentially what we do is we work with the industry on two primary functions. How do you increase reach and engagement at the top of the funnel? And there's a whole list of strategies, which I will talk about later, because I know this audience mostly just wants to talk about the money right away. And then at the bottom of the funnel, once you get them down to the funnel, how do you monetize them? And you can monetize them obviously in a wide variety of ways, which I'll cover here in a second. I think there are really two fundamental strategies as you think about monetization on Facebook. The first, and the one that's been sort of the most propagated historically, is engaging people on Facebook and then taking them off Facebook to monetize probably on your own assets. So the classic example that I described to you before about driving tune into a broadcast is obviously a monetization lever, and we talked a lot about how you can do that. Like just one other study to quote here, we did a study with Nielsen where they found that one Facebook share, just one share, 15 minutes before the start of an NFL game, was equivalent to 1,000 incremental viewers in the first minute of the game. It's a very, very powerful effect. If you can create that engagement, you can bring people into the broadcast. The other tried and true technique here is using Facebook to drive referral traffic to your own websites. Parsley says that we're driving 41% of traffic to news websites. So this is a very powerful tool, and we're happy to work with you on strategies that engage people and bring them to your own and operating properties, where obviously you're selling advertising and able to monetize that traffic. Subscriptions. We've seen a lot of success in helping to drive subscriptions, whether it's over the top or pay-per-view. So a couple case studies with ONE FC and Flow Sports where we're able to really move this forward. And usually these are a combination of organic content strategies as well as a small paid strategy to make sure that you're able to actually convert people at the moment of the event. But there's some really great case studies here, and again, this is what we do. We work with the industry to do this. And then tickets. For those of you that are clubs, or for those of you that have a retail business, there are powerful strategies to drive tickets and direct response results here. And a couple examples, the Warriors and the Dolphins in the US who saw pretty dramatic ROI. Again, leveraging their content and the natural engagement they have on their platform, as well as a paid strategy to help really push people into that point of sale moment. But I think the sort of interesting thing here is what's emerging to monetize actually on Facebook. So how do you take this engaged audience that you have on Facebook and build an incremental revenue stream that you're not currently existing today? And there's a few examples of this, but the one I want to highlight for this audience is branded content. So this is a brand new policy that we announced a few months ago. And our policy before was thou shalt not sell branded content on Facebook. It was happening widely, it wasn't being policed. And so we cleaned up our policy, and essentially now you can sell branded content or sponsorships against your content on Facebook. There's a process for doing so. So in this case, this is Dortmund. Dortmund posted a video sponsored by Opel. This is great content. You know, the shtick is that the Opel delivery guys are actually soccer geniuses. And it's just great content with very subtle branding, but really high engagement, a ton of views. You see they tagged Opel, so they've actually named it as branded content, which there's no penalty for that in our newsfeed algorithm. And if you do this and you sell it, and you follow these processes and you use this tool, you keep 100% of the revenue. So it's a really great opportunity for partners to start to monetize the great video content and engagement they have on our platform. And this is a VOD example, which again performs really well, but it also works in live. So these USA Basketball games that I mentioned earlier, they actually monetize that through branded content. During the natural breaks in the game, they actually sold those spots to Verizon, and instead of running ads, they had a variety of features with Verizon backdrop and incorporated them seamlessly into the broadcast, which is really a good, engaging experience. And that's something that everyone can do today. And then the Golden State Warriors, in this mode of creating entirely new content formats, have created essentially a new sort of team show, right? A pregame show where fans can come in and ask questions. They do interviews with players, that sort of thing. In this case, presented by Zoom Video Communications, but we're seeing a lot of clubs around the world develop this sort of content with the rights that they have and monetizing it via branded content. So this is really a great opportunity that is available right now that everyone can take advantage of, that really is a win-win for everybody. Okay, so I covered the sponsorship business and how you can grow your revenue through branded content. On the advertising side, there's two great examples here that I wanted to highlight. One is instant articles. So we built instant articles as a way to more rapidly, just create a better experience for consuming sort of traditional text publisher content on Facebook. When you click on a referral link and you go outside of Facebook, that's one of the worst experiences on Facebook. It typically takes 8 to 10 seconds to load. A lot of traffic drops off. That hurts your business. So this product loads automatically with beautiful, rich formats. And as a result, we see 25% more articles read using the native instant articles format versus clicking off to Facebook. And what we're doing is we're building ad formats here that publishers can utilize to monetize, and similar to branded content, keep 100% of the revenue. So if you're not on instant articles, I would encourage you to explore that opportunity because we're seeing great engagement and more consumption, frankly, of instant articles. And again, these are ad formats that we're working with the industry to help develop that, again, you keep 100% of the revenue, and we hope it will provide incremental monetization opportunities. Similarly, right now, and this is very early, but we're experimenting with inserting ads digitally into content. And so this is just a very early beta example where this woman is broadcasting, she pushes a button, and then in comes an advertisement that is actually a different advertisement delivered to every single person who's watching the video. This would be a 15-second ad spot. She gets a notification, hey, this is ending, so get ready to come back to the broadcast. It ends, and she's back. And she says, all right, welcome back. And she continues on with her content. This we think is a great opportunity, and it's still in its early days, but it's something we're rolling out, and that will be an opportunity for rev share for the industry. And then on the ticketing side and the merchandise side, we have a native ticketing product right now. We partnered with Ticketmaster, Eventbrite, and others to to similarly build a better experience, a faster experience, a more native experience to purchase and fulfill tickets on Facebook. So this is an emerging area, and I think there's a lot of promise here, and we're eager to work with partners to make sure that these solutions are robust and successful. The same is true for Instagram, by the way, where whether it's driving tune-in with the Learn More button that can bring you to outside of Instagram, to an app install button, to a Shop Now button for tickets and merchandise, or just thinking about how you incorporate sponsors into your content on Instagram or really provide your IP to sponsors to utilize in their channels. Instagram is also a great opportunity to help drive incremental revenue, and the engagement, the distribution, and the audience in Instagram is obviously very powerful and valuable. Okay, last but not least, another important part of monetization is protecting your intellectual property. And so I wanted to make sure to emphasize this for this room because it's not really widely understood, and I think it's a great opportunity for the people in this room to take advantage of. And that is just intellectual property management. We have a relatively new product that we call Rights Manager, which allows us to ingest your content, fingerprint it, and then if we find a match anywhere on Facebook, it is a rights management system. It alerts the person broadcasting what appears not to be their IP, that their live video has been stopped, that you are not the rights holder of this product. When that happens, it alerts the rights holder of that content, and it gives the rights holder a variety of actions they can take. They can shut it down, they can whitelist people who actually do have the IP to allow them to broadcast this on Facebook, and so on and so forth. It's a very powerful, robust tool, and if you're not on Rights Manager, if you're a broadcaster or if you're a rights holder and you're not on Rights Manager, I would encourage you to learn about it and get signed up, because this is a great way to protect the IP of your content on Facebook. But we're not just relying on technology here. We actually have entire ops teams. This is them at their holiday party last year. But we have an IP ops team as well as a media ops team that are really devoted to this issue, focusing on how do we make sure that we're protecting the IP of content holders on Facebook, rights holders on Facebook, and media operations, just all the operational support that we provide to the sports industry, leagues, teams, athletes, media partners. We have a lot of people devoted to this. It's really important to us that we're actively protecting this on your behalf. Okay? So that's monetization. The last thing I want to touch on here is distribution. And so if you understand that we're a video platform and you understand how you can monetize that video platform, then the question is, how do you reach as many people as possible to improve the benefits of the first two items? And so I wanted to sort of talk to you a little about, give you a really high-level overview of what we talk to our partners every day about, which is how do you grow your audience on Facebook? How do you keep them engaged on Facebook, which provides you the opportunity to do all the other things that you want to do on our platform? And a commonly misunderstood fact with our partners is that it's all about likes. People are focused on how many likes do you have, what's our like growth, how big is our page? And while that's really important and a very important metric, there's a much more important metric, which is how many people actually are you reaching on a regular basis, on a weekly or monthly basis? And what's not commonly understood is that the numbers are often very different. You can have a very big page, but depending on the content strategy that you're using on your page, you might be reaching a very small fraction of those people. On the other hand, if you're a very small page, you can reach well outside of your page size by triggering people to share and by continuously building up a track record of posting great content, which then our newsfeed algorithm takes and delivers it to more people because you have a track record of posting good content. So just to illustrate this, I pulled 5 pages. These are household names. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. But these are all well-known names in the sports industry who all have pages on Facebook. And as you can see, they have a wide variety of page size. Page A is enormous. Page E is relatively small, and everything in between. And this is their like count, okay? But now I want to show you what their reach is. So these are the number of people they're actually reaching with their content on a regular basis. And as you can see, there's not a perfect correlation between the size of one's page and the number of likes they have and the reach that they're getting. So the question is, how can I be more like page B and page E, who are dramatically outperforming the likes that they have on their page, and in fact their pages are growing faster because more people are discovering their content and coming to their page and saying, I want to see more of that. And there's a lot that goes into this, and we can spend a lot of time talking about this, but I think if you look at the data, there's a few obvious things that you should all be thinking about as you're thinking about your Facebook strategy. One is, Using video. Video is by far the most engaging and viral type of content you can post on our platform. Again, it is becoming the dominant type of content on our platform, and this is why. It allows you to reach more people. So page E and page D and page B are posting a significant percentage of their content on Facebook is video. And just the fact that you're posting a video versus a photo or a link helps drive a lot more reach and distribution just because it's better content, it's more engaging content. The other thing is post frequency. So oftentimes we talk to partners and they say, well, I'm not sure about posting that frequently. I don't want to spam people's news feeds and that sort of thing. The thing to keep in mind is that this content is delivered algorithmically. And not everyone's going to see everything you post all the time. So the more posts you generate and the more chances you get in that system, the more likely you are to reach people. And so you see people who are posting 30, 40, 50 times a day. These are big media companies. If you as an individual person probably should not be posting that often. But in your business, as a media company or as a sports league or as a rights holder, give yourself an opportunity to reach people. And as you can see, it has dramatic consequences in terms of the number of people you're reaching. Page A is only posting 10 times a day, and they just get drowned out, despite the fact they have an enormous page. And last but not least, it really just comes down to the quality of your content. And the way that we measure quality is engagement, is how often are people liking, how often are people commenting, and most importantly, how are people sharing this content. And you can see page B and page D, according to that metric, are consistently posting the most content that drives that engagement, which then we take as a signal that people like that content and we share it with more people. And the really ultimate metric, if you really want to get technical, is how many engagements are you getting per like on your page, right? Sort of the ultimate sort of weighted average of pound for pound who's best here. And if you look at the number of engagements and divide it by the size of their page, there's no question that page E is crushing everybody else on this page in terms of the quality of the content. And that's why they're reaching, well, it looks like 5 times more people than actually like their page. And they're probably growing faster than everybody else on this page. So that's like the 2-minute best practice summary of what we could spend a lot more time on in terms of how do you grow your distribution on Facebook. You know, the historical world here, the only way to grow distribution is either to lay cable into people's homes or do distribution deals or affiliate deals to get more households. Here, it's really just about posting better content. And if you post better content and you follow these strategies, you'll just dramatically increase your distribution. We've had some partners who have literally doubled their reach in 6 months by changing their posting strategy. And as you can see, as monetization models come online, as this becomes more of a distributed video platform, that's incredibly valuable in a world where mobile video is becoming very important. The same is true in Instagram, and this is a little bit less of a scientific view, but more just a creative discussion about what's really working on Instagram to, again, continue to drive more engagement and drive more followers. First-person content, that sort of really raw, authentic feeling that you're really getting a sense of the person, particularly if it's a public figure or celebrity, works incredibly well on Instagram. The classic behind-the-scenes, you know, a big sort of content theme that we see is something called an empty, where if you have a stadium, literally like hiring a photographer or bringing an Instagram community member to take photographs of that stadium before anyone comes in. It's the ultimate sort of behind-the-scenes insider moment. These kinds of things happen on Instagram all the time, and it's a great content type that really drives engagement and growth. Custom content, stuff you don't see anywhere else. And again, Instagram is more of that creative flair, right? So thinking about sort of visually, how are you tweaking something to make it distinctive on Instagram? And then certainly last but not least is video. I've talked about Instagram as a video platform, and similar to Facebook, video performs really well on Instagram. People just like moving pictures more than they like still pictures, generally speaking. And that's certainly true on Instagram as well. A no-brainer best practice on Instagram is thinking about what do you want to be known for on Instagram, or what is your visual franchise? And there's a few great examples of this, where SportsCenter in the US, every night they have a photo of the night. This sort of iconic, whatever happened in sports that night, they're going to show that on Instagram, and people come to expect that, and they're looking for that every single night. The NBA, their distinctive franchise is this Phantom Cam, this beautiful slow-motion sort of ballet-like view of basketball that, again, fits the Instagram aesthetic, right? Very creative, very artistic, very unique, very custom. Again, ESPN with College Game Day provides a sidelight cam where you feel like you're at the game, right? And they incorporate that sort of jittery, like in the stands view with that slow motion sort sort of artistic feel that, again, gives you a totally different perspective on what it's like to watch that game that's very different than actually watching it on ESPN. And then, last but not least, the Warriors, where every Saturday they wear their Slate jerseys, so they turn all their content Slate on Saturdays on Instagram as well. Really simple concepts, but there are ways to stand out on Instagram and really build that visual franchise. It makes it shareable, it makes people come back and engage. Okay, last but not least, in terms of distribution, I wanted to talk about the ecosystem. So, unlike the traditional world where if you were a sports league or if you were a broadcaster, there's one point of distribution, and you're looking to maximize reach from that one point of distribution. In a social media world, it's all about the ecosystem around you. So if you look, for example, at the 650 million sports fans on Facebook, and you look at the 165 million fans on Instagram, and you look at what are they following? Are they following athletes? Are they following leagues? Are they following teams? Are they following media? Here's how it breaks down. So athletes are by far getting the most distribution on Facebook. People are just connected to athletes much more so than they are with leagues and teams and media. And that makes sense. We're all sports fans. When we grew up as a sports fan, probably our initial point of connection was with a favorite athlete or your hometown club. And so the key is to keep this in mind as you're thinking about your distribution strategy and not necessarily just focusing on your own page if you're a broadcaster or if you're a governing body, but thinking about how are you empowering your athletes if you're a rights holder, or your clubs, or if you're a broadcaster, how are you deploying your talent, your on-air talent, your journalists? Facebook is a people-to-people platform. Instagram is a people-to-people platform. That's what people like to follow, and that's how they like to engage. So, for example, the Manchester United game that I talked about a little earlier, it wasn't just Manchester United that shared that game. It was also Wayne Rooney. And Wayne Rooney shared his own testimonial game and was responsible for a significant amount of the consumption and engagement of that game. So certainly leveraging your athletes is key, but it's also true if you think about the sort of parent-child relationship in terms of a league and a club. So this is the Pac-12, for example, the college athletic conference in the US, where they had been sharing things consistently to their Pac-12 page, but they used a new tool that we have called cross-posting video, where you actually, essentially it functions as a CMS system where you can deliver content through Facebook to others in your ecosystem, and all the metrics and really all the sales rights all roll up into that one video. And so they're using this pretty consistently, and so every time they post something on the Pac-12 page, they also post it to the university for whom it's responsible, and for whom it's more directly applicable. And they routinely are getting double the video views from doing this sort of thing. So thinking about who's your ecosystem and how are you empowering all aspects of your ecosystem to share your content and deliver your content is a powerful, different way of thinking in this sort of model that we encourage you all to think about how you take advantage of. All right, so I think I'm out of time, but I want to close with really just reminding you of some key takeaways here. On the video side, we've become this mobile video platform, and the key is it complements your existing ecosystem. There are a lot of strategies you can employ to support your existing broadcast business, as well as reach new fans and build a new business here. We're working really hard on monetization, both off Facebook and within Facebook, and we're working really hard to help you drive incremental revenues on our platform. And last but not least, we can certainly help you by reaching engaging new audiences on our platform. If we have time, I can take a few questions in the last 5 minutes, but otherwise, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. Any questions? Yeah, sure. The question is, do we see a different level of engagement between 360 video and regular video? The answer is it's a little too early to tell. We don't have the same volume of 360 video, so statistically I'm not sure I could give you a valid answer there. But it always comes down to what's the video, right, and how engaging the video is. Just because it's 360 doesn't necessarily mean it's by default more engaging. But if you are able to provide a really superior experience, and especially as you sort of start to see people rotate through, that's a great engaging experience. Yeah, another question right here.
Coming.
Oh, we have microphones. Great, thanks.
Hi, thanks. I think probably a lot of people want to know, are we ever going to see a day where social media companies, in particular you, are bidding against the traditional media companies on traditional rights deals? Because everything you say there suggests not.
That's the first time I've ever heard that question. Just kidding. What I would say right now is that live video is a relatively new platform, right? We literally launched live video in February. We're working with existing rights holders and broadcasters right now on a wide variety of different content types. So that's Q&A, you see it, Q&A, behind the scenes, and yes, live games for sure. And we're working with existing broadcasters and people that have those exclusive rights on our platform today. And that's really where we are today. Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much. Have a great day.